Life really does begin at 40. Up until then, you are just doing research. Carl Jung. Think about it. All the years before 40 were just the warm-up. The mistakes, the heartbreaks, the wins and losses, they were never the real game. They were rehearsals, shaping you, stripping away illusions, teaching you lessons you didn't even know you were learning. Every choice you made, every door that closed in your face, every night you lay awake questioning yourself, they weren't signs of failure, they were training. Jung believed that life after 40 isn't the beginning of the end, but the end of the beginning, the moment when your past finally stops being a burden and becomes the foundation for who you're meant to be. At 40, you're no longer living to meet the expectations of others. You've seen enough to know what matters, and more importantly, what doesn't. The chase for validation loses its grip. The hunger for meaning takes its place. You understand that youth was never about age. It was about inexperience, and that true vitality comes when you finally live from a place of clarity, not confusion. This is the age where the masks you wore start to feel too heavy, and you begin stripping them away, one by one. The friendships become fewer but deeper, your ambitions become sharper, and the fear of starting over fades, because you know you've done it before, and survived. Jung saw midlife not as a crisis but as an awakening, a turning point when the soul demands you answer a question you've been avoiding your whole life. Who am I, really? Today, we'll uncover the hidden truth behind why midlife can be the most powerful chapter of your existence, not in spite of everything you've been through, but because of it. Carl Jung never saw midlife as the beginning of decline. To him, life after 40 was not a slow fading of the light, but the moment the real journey begins. Before 40, most people are trapped in what Jung called the social adaptation phase. You study, build a career, establish relationships, and craft an identity that fits neatly into the expectations of society. These are the years dominated by external recognition, the chase for success, the building of reputation, the constant need to prove your worth. In this stage, life is about constructing a mask, what Jung referred to as the persona, a socially acceptable version of yourself designed to win approval and avoid rejection. And it works, up to a point. By the time you reach your late 30s, you may have ticked all the boxes: job, relationships, achievements, yet still feel an unexplained emptiness. That's because the persona was never meant to be the whole truth. Beneath it lies yourself, the full, complex, often contradictory reality of who you are. And according to Jung, it is only in the second half of life that you are truly ready to meet it. When you turn 40, something shifts. The applause that once fueled you begins to lose its charm. The ladder you've been climbing suddenly makes you wonder if it's leaning against the wrong wall. Goals that once seemed urgent start to feel hollow. This is the call of the inner life, a quiet, persistent voice urging you to turn inward. Jung believed that ignoring this call leads to stagnation, bitterness, or the infamous midlife crisis. But answering it opens the door to individuation, the process of becoming your most authentic, integrated self. Individuation is not about abandoning the outer world, it's about no longer letting it define you. It's a shift from living for others to living from your core. This means confronting the parts of yourself you've neglected, your dreams, your shadows, your unlived potentials. It might involve painful realizations that certain relationships no longer serve you, that your career path was built on someone else's idea of success, or that you've been silencing your own voice to keep the peace. But here's the paradox Jung understood so well. The freedom and depth you gain after 40 come precisely because you have already lived through the struggles of the first half. You've built enough structure to stand on your own. You've experienced enough losses to know what truly matters. And you've seen enough of life's illusions to stop chasing them. Life after 40, Jung said, is when you stop asking, "What does the world want from me?" and start asking, "What does my soul want from me?" The answers to that question are rarely about money, fame, or approval. They're about meaning, connection, creativity, and self-knowledge. This is why, for Jung, the second half of life is not a decline, but a deepening. The first half is about expansion into the world. The second is about expansion into yourself. It's the point where you stop living on autopilot and start living deliberately. You begin to align your actions with your values, your words with your truth, and your time with what actually nourishes you. In practical terms, this might mean slowing down, not because you're weaker, but because you're wiser. It might mean saying no more often, not out of cynicism, but because you finally understand the value of your energy. It might mean exploring spirituality, philosophy, or creativity in ways you never dared before. And perhaps most importantly, it means making peace with the past, not erasing it, but integrating it. Every mistake, every detour, every heartbreak becomes part of the mosaic of who you are. Jung believed this integration was the key to wholeness. Without it, we remain fragmented, living only in part of our potential. So if you are approaching 40 or have long since passed it, don't see it as the end of something. See it as the start of the only journey that truly matters, the journey toward yourself. Because in Jung's words, the afternoon of life must have a significance of its own and cannot be merely a pitiful appendage to life's morning. The truth is simple but profound. Life before 40 is about building a house. Life after 40 is about making it a home, a place where your soul can finally live. Carl Jung taught that life after 40 is not a time to fear change, but rather a stage where transformation becomes an essential ally. In the first half of life, we often resist the natural flow of psychological evolution, clinging to familiar patterns, routines, and identities shaped to meet expectations or avoid discomfort. However, as we cross the threshold into midlife, the inner voice grows louder, urging us to recognize that growth is not only inevitable but necessary. Accepting the changes in our mind, body, and spirit is a fundamental step toward true empowerment. The lines on your face, the changes in energy, even the lessons learned through past mistakes, they are not signs of weakness, but markers of maturity. To resist them is to resist life itself. Instead, embracing these shifts allows a deeper alignment with your authentic self. You begin to understand that the body you inhabit and the mind you possess are both instruments of wisdom, capable of guiding you toward purpose and fulfillment when treated with acceptance rather than judgment. Balancing the past and future becomes a central task during this period. The experiences you've lived, the successes, the failures, the heartbreaks, and the triumphs are invaluable teachers, but they are not meant to chain you to what was. Jung emphasized the importance of learning from these experiences without remaining trapped within them. Reflecting on past patterns gives insight, but clinging to regret or nostalgia obscures the clarity of present choice. At the same time, envisioning the future with conscious intention allows you to set goals that are deeply aligned with your authentic values rather than external expectations. This delicate balance, honoring the lessons of yesterday while cultivating the possibilities of tomorrow, is what defines the midlife journey as one of self-mastery rather than crisis. It is in this equilibrium that you can finally act with wisdom, not impulse, and with courage, not fear. Reconnecting with the self becomes both a practice and a discipline. Jung recommended intentional methods such as meditation, journaling, and conscious solitude to facilitate a dialogue with the deeper layers of the psyche. Meditation offers the quiet needed to hear the subtle voice of intuition. Journaling provides a mirror reflecting patterns, desires, and insights that the busy mind often misses, and periods of intentional solitude allow you to confront and integrate the complexities of your inner world. Moreover, Jung urged us to attend to the unconscious mind, particularly through the careful observation of dreams. Dreams carry the language of the soul, symbols, images, and narratives that speak truths the conscious mind may resist. Engaging with these messages strengthens self-awareness and opens a channel to profound guidance that is otherwise obscured by routine or distraction. In doing so, you learn not merely to survive midlife, but to thrive in it with clarity, insight, and a growing sense of personal authority. Equally crucial is the discernment in your relationships. Midlife invites a shift away from superficial or draining connections and toward relationships that nurture and elevate your inner life. Jung highlighted the distinction between superficial attachments, often built on convenience, social expectation, or fear of solitude, and authentic connections that support mutual growth, understanding, and emotional resonance. Releasing ties that no longer serve you is not cruelty. It is a conscious act of self-preservation and integrity. Simultaneously, fostering relationships with those who appreciate, challenge, and sustain your true self becomes a cornerstone of midlife fulfillment. These are relationships in which dialogue is honest, support is mutual, and connection is meaningful. Such bonds act as mirrors and guides, helping you reflect the truths of your inner life, encouraging your development, and protecting the space you require for personal growth. Jung also reminded us that embracing life after 40 requires patience with the unknown. The world may not provide all the answers, and not every path will be immediately clear. Yet it is in the acceptance of ambiguity that creativity, insight, and resilience flourish. By honoring the natural rhythms of change, reconnecting with your deeper self, and choosing relationships that align with your inner values, midlife becomes not a period of limitation, but a stage of unprecedented freedom. You step into a version of yourself shaped not by societal expectation, past failures, or external validation, but by conscious choice and self-knowledge. In this way, the second half of life is not merely a continuation of what came before, but a profound transformation, a chapter where clarity replaces confusion, depth replaces superficiality, and authenticity becomes your guiding principle. Jung's vision assures us that life after 40 is not a decline, but a magnificent opportunity to align fully with your true self and to live with wisdom, courage, and purpose. In the end, we arrive at a moment of reflection and clarity. Life at 40 is not a countdown, it's a sunrise. The years behind you have shaped you, but they do not define the possibilities that lie ahead. Carl Jung's timeless wisdom reminds us that our most meaningful, transformative years are not behind us, but waiting in the chapters yet to be written. Midlife is not a crisis to fear, but a calling to awaken to your fullest potential, to embrace the depth of your experiences, and to act with intention and authenticity. This is the stage when the lessons of the past converge with the clarity of self-awareness, allowing you to live in alignment with your deepest values rather than the expectations of others. Ask yourself, what would you do differently if you truly believed your best years start now? How would your choices, relationships, and priorities shift if you fully trusted that this is your time to thrive? Let this reflection guide you toward embracing opportunities, shedding what no longer serves you, and nurturing the aspects of life that resonate with your true self. And if Jung's insights spoke to you today, offering a glimpse into the profound potential of midlife, subscribe for more deep explorations into the human mind and the art of living with purpose, so that each day becomes an intentional step toward the life you were meant to live.